This latest development with one of the New York Rangers star players has Rangers fans split, as an insider has revealed some surprising details on Mika Zibanejad and his future in New York, and it looks like he has played his last game as a New York Ranger, and this completely changes the complexion, the entire complexion of the team heading into next season. We're going to break down what this means moving forward and Chris Drury's plans this offseason in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, it's free. Go down below, hit that subscribe button, and of course, you get to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your New York Rangers through this very busy offseason. But there has been a new development on what is happening with the New York Rangers this offseason and who they are looking to move off of. And it's looking very likely at this point that it's one of two players, Chris Kreider or Mika Zibanejad. And honestly, it could go either way. I do think Chris Kreider might be a little bit easier to trade, in my opinion, based on the contract structure and what he brings to the team, or what he would bring to another team. And of course, his contract is not even close to as long as Mika Zibanejad's, who is making north of $8 million right now. But let's get right into it. As Johnny Lazarus found just the other day, the Rangers star, Mika Zibanejad, has sold his New York townhouse. He sold his house in New York. I mean, that's pretty big news. Now, he is heading over to the World Championships right now. He is going to play for Team Sweden. But I think that this is a very interesting development because he sold his house. I mean, yes, he's probably, he's probably buying another one, right? That's what everyone is going to say. He's probably just sold his property. He's buying another property in New York. That's probably what everyone's going to say. But I do think it's an interesting development that it's happening right now. I really do. And a lot of people are chiming in about it that, as for Zibanejad's next move, this is from the article that Johnny Lazarus found as well. It is not immediately clear what it will be, but Rangers GM Chris Drury reportedly recently considered trading Zibanejad, who is in his third year of an 8-year contract. Of course, signed that in 2022, and it goes till 2030. Who is in his third year, of course, of the 8-year contract worth about $9 million, but it's actually, $8 million. But Zibanejad, who has a no movement clause baked into his contract that allows him to reject trade moves. Very interestingly worded article here, but obviously the contract expires in 2030. And he also, we covered this quote. He said his focus is that he wants to be here and he has no intentions of moving. So I think this is an interesting move. So is he just buying another house? Maybe. Are we reading too much into it? Maybe, but there's moves coming for the New York Rangers, so we're going to read into it. Now, Zibanejad, in the season that was, should the Rangers keep him, right? This is it's a hot topic. They need to free up salary cap space. They have a lot of it, they do, but to give them that much more flexibility to then compete in a couple years again, or even compete as soon as next year or the year after that, they need to move some salary. It's got to be Chris Kreider or it has to be Zibanejad at this point. They make far too much for what they're bringing to the lineup right now. And I do think Zibanejad could potentially help this team win still. We'll get to that in a second. But again, what's next for Mika Zibanejad? He sold his townhouse. And, Zibanejad could have done that because that's what celebrities do to keep their business as quiet as possible. Or perhaps a 32-year-old forward didn't want to set off a firestorm of rumors that he is planning to exit from New York and the Rangers after a massively disappointing 2024-25 season when they failed to make the playoffs for the first time in 4 seasons. So maybe Zibanejad wants a change of scenery. I didn't get that vibe. I think he wants to stay in New York, and that's what he said. But of course, players are going to say that, right? But especially on locker cleanout day, it's going to be that way. But in terms of a poor season, they didn't make the playoffs, and he started the season horribly. But I do want to bring up a few things in terms of, he was the focal point of criticism. He did not have a good start to the season. He was feeling down on himself. He said that it was his worst season. This is an article from Vince Mercogliano, as you can see here. His worst season in at least 8 years was less about his diminishing physical ability and more between the ears. And it really was. You could see it. And he spoke out and said, I feel like mentally what I went through the first few months was probably the toughest I've ever been through in my career. So he was definitely going through it earlier this season. Now, the second half of the season, let's take a look at his stats this season. And we'll get to a quote in a second. But he played in every single game this year, and he had 62 points. First of all, for the entire sample size of the season at 82 games playing the entire season, 62 points for $8 million is not good enough. It just simply is not good enough. And he was asking to play more. If you remember that earlier in the season, he wanted more ice time. You're not going to get more ice time if that's what you're doing. But since January 1st, and I do want to bring this up, he's been playing very well. He was playing really, really well and putting up a ton of points. He was almost a point-a-game player with JT Miller. He also stressed the need for more communication within the organization, as you can see here from Peter Baugh. And, he went on to say that he was hoping for basically more communication. He was saying kind of the same things that I've been saying the last couple weeks at this point, that, to have a successful team, franchise, organization, everybody needs to be aligned and everybody needs to be communicating. So he came out and talked about that and how that wasn't happening this year, and he really wasn't happy with that. So again, in the second half of the year, he did put on a good performance when JT Miller came over. And Zibanejad also went on to say that was good, but I know that wasn't a season that I wanted. That's on me. I've got months here now to make sure that I take full advantage of it and get ready for next season. So all eyes are on next season. He wants to return to the Rangers. By everything he's saying, he wants to return to the Rangers and play for the Rangers. But listen, a lot of players before him, two notably in Barclay Goodrow and, of course, Jacob Trouba, had no movement clauses. And Chris Drury said, no, I got to make moves to make this team better. So I do think there's a world where he could be moved even if he doesn't want to be. So things could get a little bit ugly this offseason too, but we'll see what the plan is. I do think that Chris Kreider is number one on the list for Chris Drury first if he can try and move off of somebody. But Zibanejad also went on to say that everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to be here in June and talk to you guys and have a smile on their face. And you guys ask us how it was on the parade and how it was to win and what it means. Obviously, he wants to win a Stanley Cup and he wants to win in New York. He knows how much it means to Rangers fans in the city. And that's what we all want, but we're not there right now, and we're not going to get there if we don't take ownership, for me, of my own season, but also a lot of other things that we have to do together. And it sounds like the organization's a little bit more aligned going into next season. But again, I like Zibanejad. I really do. And a lot of people, I've seen it in the comments, say, why do you, hate on Zibanejad so much? His jersey hangs above, to my right. I love Mika Zibanejad. I think he's a great player. He's an electric player, but didn't have a good first half of the season. Again, turned it on. He was almost a point-a-game player in the second half of the season when he was put with JT Miller. Of course, JT Miller's a great player and can get a lot of players going. That's for sure. But, I think there was just a lot going on this season for Mika Zibanejad. But what do I think? I think that, and let me know in the comments what you think, because this is an interesting development with everything we've heard. We heard that they tried to trade Mika Zibanejad this season, in season, to the Vancouver Canucks. That fell through. I actually think it was 1-for-1 for JT Miller. That fell through. That was the report. And then obviously, as the season went on, everyone's talking about how Zibanejad's A, having a terrible season, and B, they need to move off of him this offseason. And now this. He sells his townhouse in New York. So very interesting stuff going on here. Let me know in the comments what you think about this development, because again, it's most likely him just selling his house and buying a new one in the area or something like that, or maybe in a different area. That's what I'm thinking is most likely here. But at the end of the day, maybe he's preparing because he knows there's gonna be some friction here, and maybe it is time for a change of scenery for him. But frees up a lot of money. But again, you're looking at the center depth on this team. I just don't know what the plan is right now, especially signing Juuso Parssinen to a contract extension before guys like Matt Rempe, Will Cooley. It's odd. It is odd. So not sure what the plan is right now, but I know Chris Drury is going to make some moves. So let me know in the comments what you think about this recent development. Obviously a weird one, that is for sure, but we're going to keep tabs on everything going on with the New York Rangers. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.